And so I'm back, and this is I had to stop the last video. Anyways, next thing we're going to talk about is, before we get to multiplayer, is um, everything else about the game, like graphics and controls stuff. I'll start with graphics. To be completely honest with you, I don't think there's any way that I can uh, give Halo a win in graphics, mainly because of how brilliant Infinity Ward was with creating the graphics in Call of Duty 4. It's amazing because you can shoot your gun, and then you can look down at a bullet casing and see a shadow on it. And nobody really takes the time to look at that, but it's amazing because the environment is so close to reality in the way that the characters move and the items on the character bounce around as they would supposed to. Some things really feel like they have a mass. The shadows are beautifully done. It really, when Call of Duty 4 came out and everybody started playing it, and when you had like your high-end system, with top video card, top RAM, all sorts of stuff, and you turned all the sliders straight up, it was amazing how like perfect the game was. And when they implemented the rain and online, you can see that in a downpour, especially for the rain. You'll notice water droplets hitting the ground with the ripples and everything. It's amazing. And then we look at Halo, and I believe the graphics for Halo are could have been stronger, and you can't say, oh, well, it doesn't look as good as Call of Duty's graphics. But one thing about Halo you have to realize is that Halos come from a different perspective than Halo. Than Call of Duty, in the way that Halo is kind of like a futuristic, with guns and characters and all sorts of stuff that isn't really seen on our planet in this day and age, that really makes it that you don't really need to have a graphic style that looks and feels like reality, because that wasn't what they were trying to achieve in Halo. So having their more, I guess you could say, compared to Call of Duty, it was more of a cartoon type of graphic, even though it's still in some ways, realistic-ish. I think Halo's graphics also rank up there. They're not just slopped together, but I don't think there is much argument to say that Call of Duty has the better graphics. The next thing, which I also feel is, along with the graphics, is something that really is just something to add to the flavor of the game, and not so much to say, hey, this is why my game is better than your game, is the controls. And controls are something that everybody needs to get themselves familiar with, and once they get familiar with, are able to use effectively to play the game. I think both games hit the controls really well with what you can do with them. I really like the idea of using the scope in Call of Duty. I really enjoy the idea of just how the control styles are set up in a way that, because you can dual wield in Halo, they've made the triggers and the bumpers unique to each hand of your character, as you have different grenades assigned to the bumpers in Call of Duty, because you don't need to use the bumpers to pick up weapons. But look, I think, however, Halo does have a little bit of an advantage, because if you came over to your friend's house, he's like, here, let's play the video game, and you pick up Call of Duty and grab the controller and start playing, and you pick up Halo and grab the controller and start playing. I think Halo just has that setup that you can pretty much dive into it, pick up the controller, and know what to do. Kind of, you can think, well, this is going to be shoot, and this is probably jump, and I could probably maybe switch my weapons with this, and these probably move my character, and right away you're on your way. Whereas Call of Duty, you'll say, oh, I didn't know that you could scope in. Like, let's say somebody's just shooting with that button because they know, oh, okay, well, that's shoot. Then they realize they can scope in, all of a sudden their accuracy increases, I don't know. In a sense, Halo kind of wins in controls just because they're a bit more familiar. Um, excuse me. But the final thing I'd have to say, this kind of coincides with uh, online, but also has some coincides with single player too, is the Arsenal. Um, it's this category is kind of ugly for people who haven't put many hours into one or the other game, and when they're trying to form an argument based on which one they like better, because really you have to play the game for a while to really understand um, the weapons, and the weapons are a big part of any FPS, of course. But the thing that really makes Call of Duty completely different from Halo in terms of weapons, and it's not because of the realistic factor, the unrealistic factor. It's how the weapons play out. And in Call of Duty, any gun you pick up, you can use it to your advantage against any other class. Like if you're getting sniped and you pick up a shotgun, um, if you're used to playing a shotgun, you know how to take the short route and um, always find combat that's in your range. Whereas if you're a sniper and you're really good and you feel like you're confident in sniping, you can pick up any sniper in the game and find yourself a place where you can plop yourself down or where you can find a path and use that sniper to your advantage. What I'm trying to get at is every gun is good in Call of Duty 4, and if you have one gun, you should be able to beat anybody else holding any other gun if you're good enough with that gun. Whereas in Halo really thrives upon the idea of, it's kind of like a rock paper scissors tactic, as in like if somebody's holding one gun, like let's say rockets for example, um, it's really difficult for somebody with a shotgun from like a medium to long range to implement a strategy where they can get close enough to the guy with the rockets to take the guy with the rockets out before the guy either has a chance to shoot at him or commit suicide and kill him at the same time with the rocket. So in Halo's much about what guns beat which guns and what guns are weak against the other guns, because you can't with the idea of having enough health that different guns have like extremely different powers. If you're in a gun battle just one-on-one with two different guns, whichever one can deal more damage faster is going to be victorious in every situation. I don't know. I think I can't pick sides on which grouping I like better just based on what the guns are. Um, but I think both games do really well in using their gun strategies to make every gun have a point. Um, that I guess we're gonna be touching on multiplayer now. It's looking like I'm gonna have to do 3 videos, so I'm gonna save actual gameplay of multiplayer for last. Um, Next, I guess I'll talk about the innovation of each game. Call of Duty really is just hey, we're taking Call of Duty 3 and we're or I don't know if Call of Duty 3 was another World War II game, or anyways, what they did was they just made Call of Duty better, and really not much innovation went into it. I mean, the graphics are obviously something new to video games of how well they are. Another thing that's a bit different is the scoping. I understand there's been scoping before in first-person shooters, but I think Call of Duty 4 really stands out as the game that scoping is used in my mind. In terms of innovation, though, there wasn't really much that Call of Duty did to really make it stand out, except for, I guess, classes were kind of an interesting idea, but they do allow some customization in the game. But Halo wins so easily with the idea of being able to go in and make your own map and then share your maps with anybody else on the Xbox Live, and it's perfect. It was something completely new to everybody, and well, not completely new, but something that you haven't really seen on console games before, and to say, hey, I kind of like some maps in Halo, but some of them suck. If you go online, you can find tons, millions of maps, and it just goes on, and it's really brings in a new age of gaming that I think Halo really wins in that category.